we got a video for you showing a group of African Australian students being kicked out of an Apple store in Melbourne, Australia because of the color of their skin. This is awful. Please take a look.
They're just worried you might steal something.
Why would we steal something?
It's okay.
Why would we steal something?
Why do we have security? Guys, end of discussion.
Yeah.
I need to ask you to leave out.
Racism is a global phenomenon, Nick. This is very sad to see that this guy, what happened, let me tell you the backstory.
Sure.
The guy that we see in that picture at the back, this is a private security guy, felt uneasy about this group of African Australian students being at the store. He approached a staff member and he said, you know what, I feel uneasy, I think they're gonna shoplift. He went and he said, like, you know, these guys are uneasy because you're black and most likely you're going to steal something from the Apple store.
Right.
These kids, they go to 10th grade in a local school there. This is the suburbs. This is, we're not talking about the inner city. These are the suburbs. Although there's a big immigrant community because there's an immigrant hostel in the area. So there's this mixture of people in the area that has in the past transformed the neighborhood. But we see that so easily they get kicked out of school. They came back hours later with the principal of the school. They did got an apology from the senior manager of the store. Also, Apple did a public apology. Tim Cook made a PR quote in there saying we're committed to diversity, although we have 70% of white leadership in our company. But it's sad to see that these kids are so used to it, because if you see the reaction, they are so cool about it, and like, oh, why?
Yeah.
They don't get enraged, and I think that for me, it's a sign that this happens a lot, and they don't see that that's bad.
Right. I'm sure Apple's going to want to sort of get things clear to everybody that they're not a racist company. I don't think I would go as far as call Apple a racist company. I think this is just, one idiot security guard and one racist manager. And, if people weren't pompous and kind of pretentious enough at the Apple store, I feel like everyone working there always thinks that they're way too cool when you go in there anyway with their Apple shirts and their jeans and their New Balance shoes. But look, aside from that, I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to give something to these kids? I mean, that is so messed up, because they might as well put a sign outside that says not more than 2 black people at a time in this store, because let's face it, they can say whatever they want, that they were young or they were students. Let's be real, if they were white, they wouldn't have been kicked out like that. Totally. It's just because it was a group of black kids, and that's the same thing in America. Can you imagine if this went down like in LA or something, if it was in Australia? Jesus Christ, it would be much a bigger deal.
Like an outcry would be huge. Yeah. But it's important to see that it's a responsibility for these companies to make sure that their stores are safe places, and the people cannot get kicked out because you're black. I think that's at the end the responsibility of the company, because that's the employees, and it's not the first time. Employees of the Apple Store have, made legal procedures against Apple for racism because of them not being able to have their religious freedom. In the case of a Muslim American that sued Apple, and in other cases. So it's sad to see that these things happen, and it wasn't until this video got hundreds of thousands of shares on social media that the company actually reacted to it. So it was more a matter of like, oops, we got caught, than we are really feeling sorry about it.
I think these kids deserve like at least some sort of like gift bag from Apple, like an iPod Nano Touch or whatever they're called, or at least give them some of those chargers that break at the end of after like a week of using them.
Yeah, global racism, you can get kicked out from an Apple store in Melbourne, Australia if you're black.